The Horror Journey of Sleepy Hollow. Sleepy Hollow, New York was a town steeped in legend. Nestled along the Hudson River, its streets carried whispers of the infamous Headless Horseman, a spectral figure said to haunt the woods at night. The legend was so deeply rooted in the town's identity that many dismissed it as a tourist gimmick. But for those who dared to explore, the line between folklore and reality blurred in chilling ways. A group of friends, Lila, Marcus, Ethan, and Claire, arrived in Sleepy Hollow on a crisp October evening. Drawn by their love of ghost stories, they decided to take the Sleepy Hollow Trail after dark. Despite warnings from the locals, they were eager to experience the thrill firsthand. The trail wound through dense woods where twisted trees clawed at the sky and the wind whispered through the leaves like ghostly murmurs. The friends carried flashlights and joked to ease their nerves, but the deeper they ventured, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. "I don't get why people are so scared," Marcus said, kicking a pile of leaves. "It's just a story." "Yeah, but every story has some truth to it," Claire replied, her voice tinged with unease. As they walked, a strange fog began to roll in, thick and cold, muffling the sounds of the forest. The beams of their flashlights seemed to dissolve into the mist. "Is it supposed to get this foggy?" Lila asked, her voice shaking. "No," Ethan muttered, "this feels wrong." A distant sound broke the silence, a rhythmic, hollow thudding like hoofbeats on hard ground. "Do you hear that?" Claire whispered, gripping Lila's arm. The friends froze, straining to listen. The sound grew louder, echoing through the fog. "It's probably someone on a horse," Marcus said, trying to sound confident. "In the middle of the night?" Ethan shot back. Before anyone could respond, a chilling neigh pierced the air. The hoofbeats quickened, and the fog seemed to part, revealing a shadowy figure on horseback. Its outline was faint but unmistakable, a rider clad in dark armor, carrying a glowing, pumpkin-like object in place of a head. "The Headless Horseman," Lila whispered, her face pale. "Run!" Ethan shouted. They bolted down the trail, their flashlights bouncing wildly. The horseman pursued, the thudding of hooves growing deafening. Trees blurred past as the friends stumbled over roots and rocks, their breaths coming in ragged gasps. Lila tripped, falling hard onto the path. Marcus turned back to help her, but the horseman was nearly upon them. Its eerie, headless figure loomed closer, the pumpkin emitting an unnatural, fiery glow. "Get up!" Marcus yelled, pulling Lila to her feet. The group veered off the trail, plunging into the dense underbrush. Branches scratched at their faces and arms, but they didn't dare stop. The sound of hoofbeats faded, replaced by an eerie silence. They found themselves in a small clearing, illuminated by a pale moon. At the center stood an old, crumbling grave marked with illegible inscriptions. "Where are we?" Claire asked, her voice trembling. "This wasn't on the map," Ethan said, his eyes scanning the darkness. Suddenly, the ground beneath them shifted. A skeletal hand shot up from the dirt, grasping at Lila's ankle. She screamed as more hands emerged, clawing their way out of the earth. "Get back!" Ethan shouted, grabbing a fallen branch and swinging it at the emerging figures. The skeletal remains of soldiers, their armor rusted and tattered, clawed their way out of shallow graves. Their empty eye sockets seemed to glow with malevolent energy. "We need to get out of here," Marcus yelled, pulling Lila free. The friends ran back toward the trail, dodging the undead soldiers and the horseman's distant, haunting laughter. The forest seemed alive, the trees closing in as if trying to trap them. Finally, they burst onto the main trail, their path illuminated by the faint glow of streetlights in the distance. Behind them, the fog thickened, obscuring the horrors they had fled. They didn't stop running until they reached the safety of their car. Hearts pounding, they piled inside, locking the doors. "What the hell was that?" Claire asked, tears streaming down her face. "I don't know," Ethan said, gripping the steering wheel, "but we're never coming back here." As they drove away, the fog lingered in the rearview mirror, almost as if watching them leave. For days after, the friends were haunted by nightmares of the horsemen and the undead soldiers. Years later, Lila returned to Sleepy Hollow, drawn by an inexplicable urge. The town seemed unchanged, but the trail was closed, marked by a rusted sign warning visitors to stay away. But at night, when the wind howled and the fog rolled in, the sound of hoofbeats still echoed through the woods, a reminder that some legends are terrifyingly real.